Hello, malt mates. Ralphie here in the bothy, the whisky bothy. Old, rustic and a bit dilapidated and frayed at the edges and slightly tumbling down. That's just me. And so's the bothy too. But we're still standing, despite the earthquakes and the ground tremors of cruel circumstance. Phew. Welcome to review number 1141, extras for extra content, extra opinion, extra perspective, extra chitty chatty. And with this one, I'm going to give you a little bit of chitty chatty about my recent rum journey and where it's taken me. In the early days, when I was 4 years old and raiding my father's drinks cabinet, which I did, and I remember it with very fond affection. I remember the first time as a 4-year-old when I was intoxicated and I had to leave the house and I couldn't go out the back door because it was beside the kitchen and my mum would have spotted me, so I had to sneak out the front door and go round to the back of the house and lie down behind the tool shed where all the garden lawnmowers and rakes and hoes were stocked and just sleep it off for a couple of hours. And yes, I remember I had my first mild hangover, and that was only after, about 3 or 4 teaspoonfuls of rum, whiskey and other liqueurs. When I was a 4-year-old, what left the most residing impression was Kahlua, coffee liqueur. It was so exotic, it was so sweet and syrupy, it was pure nectar. The rum was harsh and sour and bitter and nasty, so was the whiskey. The rum was old sea dog or old brown dog or old dog, something like that. And there's a bottle, I remember later, there's a bottle of OVD, which means Old Vatted Demerara. Still a brand you can buy in Britain now, because Britain has a very long legacy brand situation with Caribbean rum, particularly of the molasses variety. And this is what has coloured and flavoured my introduction to rum. Has been traditional British style rum, which is based on the style of Navy rum acquisitions, which you find most notably, most famously now in a brand called Pussers, Pussers, which is a rum brand, independent bottler, who basically took over the Navy contract in order to keep providing a bit of business the way of these distilleries that originally contributed to the British Navy rum ration. And we never plan these things. We never plan our tastes in life. It depends who we are and where we're coming from, and the tastes find us as we go along. It's why some people are steak aficionados or fresh fruit aficionados and will only have organic cherries and things like that. And our tea aficionados. You know, we recognise there's something in life that we get tremendous comfort and resonant frequency from, because we just spontaneously connect with it. And for me, it was well before whiskey, it was rum, because before I started even drinking whiskey back in the early 1980s, I was drinking rum and tonic, dark rum and tonic. That's what I was on. And primarily it was Lamb's Navy Strength. Lamb's Navy Strength rum. When, back then when it was a good brand, because it's not a good brand now, it's just dyed up generic stuff, as so many mainstream brands are, which is why we avoid them and we go on to other options. But it's only when I was starting to get my bearings with whiskey, and I had neglected rum for quite a number of years, that the curiosity got the better of me, and I thought, no whiskey collection is complete without having something else in your cabinet. And I have to be honest and say, bourbon didn't do it for me. Not even the rye heavy bourbons and the mixed mash bill, because 90% plus bourbons come from big companies where they use GMO corn from corporate multinationals, and the result is when they're all using roughly the same ingredients, you start to get roughly the same results in the product, particularly when it goes through a highly automated mega factory distilling production unit. And unfortunately, America does not have much in the way of meaningful independent bottlers of the major brands, unlike Scotch whisky. Now, there's a few good bourbon brands out there. Eagle Rare 10-year-old is one of my go-tos. Absolutely it is. But the thing is, when you're in the UK, you don't get much in the way of good bourbon. You get the generic brands. There's no shortage of Jim Beam and there's no shortage of Jack Daniels and all the teensy-weensy permutations of that. But it's rum, you see, because there's so much. It's not just the variety of flavours in rum. It's the rich, global, geographical history of rum. When you're into rum, you're not just into a rum spirit. You're into global travel through the internet. You go to the countries where the rum's made. You narrow in the distillery. You see the sugar plantations and fields, and you see the local communities, and you see the way they have their houses and the cricket pitches and the baseball fields, and you see the local harbours and you see the local hotels, and it's fascinating. Why? Because it's so different. Rum distilleries generally, not always, but most of the time, they've got a whole different atmosphere and a feel, and certainly get different smells to a whisky distillery. And this is what we're tuned into. This is what we're invested in. Difference. Real, tangible, tasteable, smellable difference. And it's in recent years that I took time out from whisky festivals for which I'm very familiar. Although I don't generally go to whisky festivals these days because I don't get a minute to myself to actually, just spend time with the whisky. And it's just, I'm not complaining, it's just the way it is. But I go to rum shows. Initially I went to the rum festival at Earl's Court in London in September. And that was a novelty, that was fun. It was as much a chance to see the quieter parts of London that tourists don't visit, like the Camden Docks, and all along to Little Venice. Lovely part of London. It's the canal hub of London. Got a wonderful atmosphere to it. And not a lot of tourists. And from there, I graduated from that experience, which was mainly cocktail orientated and sort of party vibe, Tropicana style, tiki-esque thing, which I never really warmed to because I just wanted an honest, delivered, non-sweetened, authentic rum that I could sip here in the bothy. That's all I was looking for, and I wanted it to be an affordable price with a label that could give me some disclosure, some access into how it was done. These are very few and far between, these bottlings. The majority of rum, over 90% of rum, is made for mixing. Totally. The high-end rum is simply, in my opinion, exotic prune juice at a greatly elevated price put into a fancy glass flask, and frankly it's not worth the premium. It just isn't. Rum isn't really designed to be old, and when they bottle it old they do an awful lot of engineering just to round it off and give it a natural sweetness, because they know that someone's going to be sipping it and maybe have some experience if they're paying the money. Many don't, they just pay the money and guzzle it for high-end cocktails. It's rather sad, but it's real life. It's human nature. And it's when I went to the rum show, particularly last year in 2025, this is when I really saw where rum is going. They had over 300 100 sipping rums from all over the world, including Scotland, including England, including Ireland, from everywhere, from Nepal, from Australia. The globalization of rum, you only really see a serious rum show, which is why I highly recommend the London Rum Show to you. When I went, it was £50 for a ticket for 4 hours. For the rums you had access to, very, very good value, and the perfect location for getting your bearings, because of the simple diversity and variety of high-end, serious rum makers, knowing that people who have bought a ticket to the rum show are not looking for a pina colada. They're not looking for a mojito. They're not looking for a Tropicana sunset in hurricane season. No. They just want an honest sip. Portions are small, that's fine. If you really like it, go back for a second pour. You can do that. But what amazed me was how much more I was becoming aware of French Caribbean rums like Saint Clement and JM Rum, and Haitian rum Clairin. I know they're there. I've known them there for a while. I'm finally coming round to giving them more time. But something that really blew my socks off was there's new rums appearing all the time. And we presume that rum regions, are either going to be the Atlantic or the Indian Ocean. We hear very, very little about Pacific Ocean rums. But they are a thing, and I'm getting to know them more. In fact, I'm going to feature them in my next live stream, which I do in my Patreon channel. It'll be coming along very, very shortly. I do them once a month for my subscribers, just giving them where an absolute bang up to date. This is what I've just bought in the last 4 weeks, what I'm tasting and what's blowing my socks off. And this is the beauty of it. It's a journey that never ends. And the thing about exploring, it's like exploring ruins, it's about exploring botanic gardens, it's about exploring countries. We all make plans for our exploration, but we've got to keep ourselves open to what we trip over and find as part of that journey. And it just makes the journey so much more interesting. It's not even about the rum anymore. It's about the characters, about the locations, about the wonderful nights when you're just sharing a few rums with your mates and you say, I'm giving you this blind, great idea, pour the rum blind, just tell me what you think about it. You don't know what it is, don't even try to guess. Just tell me what you know. Let's work from the known towards the unknown. It's a fabulous way of learning, a fabulous way of discovering our palate and how our palate learns about and processes flavours. And it's when we engage with our senses, whether we're an artist, musician, a whiskey connoisseur, a food aficionado, a cigar aficionado, it's the conscientious, methodical engagement and commitment to that engagement of anything that just lifts and elevates our lives totally, every single time. And do you know what? I'm going to conclude in this. What we suddenly discover is that not only do we know more about the really, really good stuff, we know more about the crap, because the crap has got less room to hide in anonymity and banality of our day-to-day lives. This is when we discover how little flavour highly processed food has. Just how junk many mainstream high-profile brands are becoming as they get increasingly industrialised in their delivery, to downsize and degrade the experience, to take the piss and make a fool out the sucker that's bought into that brand. And when we're exploring, when we're pioneers in the frontiers, we're ahead of that. And we're not going back. Peace.